Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Extremely sorry for the delay. So today we are reading from Canto 10, chapter 83, text number 40 to 42, 42 through 43. So I'll read text 41 and 42 because it has a good translation and purport. Okay, I'll be a bit louder. Navayam sadhavi samrajyam swarajyam bhojyam apyukta vairajyam parameshtyam cha anantyam va hareh padam kamayamaha etasya srimad padarajah shriya kucha kunkuma gandhadhyam murdhna vodhum gadabritah. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation: O saintly lady, we do not desire dominion over the earth, the sovereignty of the kingdom of heaven, unlimited facility for enjoyment, mystic power, the position of Brahma, immortality, or even attainment of the kingdom of God. We simply desire to carry on our heads the glorious dust of Lord Krishna's feet, enriched by the fragrance of kumkuma from his consort's bosom. Purport. The verb Raj means to rule, and from it are derived the words Samrajyam, meaning rulership over the entire earth, and Swarajyam, meaning rulership over heaven. Bhojyam comes from the verb bhuja, to enjoy, and thus refers to the capacity of enjoying whatever one desires. Virat is explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti as representing the phrase Vividham Virajate, one who enjoys many kinds of opulence, and specifically indicating the 8 mystic perfections of Anima and so on. An alternative explanation of these terms is given by Srila Sridhar Swami, who says that according to the Bahava Richa Brahman, these 4 terms designate the power of sovereignty over each of the 4 cardinal directions: Samrajya for the east, Bhaujya for the south, Swarajya for the west, and Vairajya for the north. Lord Krishna's queens clearly state that they do not desire any of these powers or even the position of Brahma, liberation, or entrance into the kingdom of God. They simply want the dust from Shri Krishna's feet, which goddess Shri herself worships. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti tells us that the goddess of fortune mentioned here is not Lakshmi, the consort of Narayan. After all, the Acharyas explain. Acharya explains, Goddess Lakshmi could not attain the direct association of Krishna even after performing extended austerities, as Uddhav states, Nayam Shriyo Angan Unitantarate Prasadaha. Bhagavatam 10.47.60. Rather, the Shri referred to here is the supreme goddess of fortune, identified by the Brihad Gautamiya Tantra. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Para Devata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kanti Sammohini Para. The transcendental goddess Srimati Radharani is the direct counterpart of Lord Shri Krishna. She is the central figure for all the goddesses of fortune. She possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. So I'll read translations to text 40, 41, 42, and 43 again. Rohini Devi speaking for the other queens said, after killing Bhaumasur and his followers, the Lord found us in the demon's prison and could understand that we were the daughters of the king whom Bhauma had defeated during his conquest of the earth. The Lord sets us free, and because we had been constantly meditating upon his lotus feet, the source of liberation from the material entanglement, he agreed to marry us, though his every desire is already fulfilled. Text 41, 42. O saintly lady, we do not desire dominion over earth, the sovereignty of the King of heaven, unlimited facility for enjoyment, mystic power, the position of Lord Brahma, immortality, or even attainment of kingdom of God. We simply desire to carry on our heads the glorious dust of Krishna's feet, enriched by the fragrance of kumkuma from the consort's bosom. Text 43 translation. We desire the same contact with the Supreme Lord's lotus feet that the young women of Vraja, the cowherd boys, and even the aborigine Pulinda women desire. The touch of the dust he leaves on the plants and grass as he tends his cows. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padagamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So the discussions are beautifully flowing in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is considered to be the essence or the sar of the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Bhagavatam itself is considered to be the sar or the essence of all Vedic literature, and the 10th canto is the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here Draupadi is meeting the queens of Krishna and reflections are happening. It is interesting that while Krishna was present in everyone's life performing leelas and pastimes, he was so intimately involved with each one of them in such a personal manner that whoever came in contact with him they lost his sense of he being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of his personal interactions in Vrindavan with the cowherd boys, the gopis of Vrindavan and so on, they just took him as one of their friends or someone whom they love. And it is explained how beautifully they loved him so much that they would sometimes chastise him, they would play with him, they would do mischief with him, they would be sarcastic with him, they would tease him, they would mock him, they would scare him and so on, as if he was just an ordinary friend. Similarly, when he was in Hastinapur, in other places, in his interactions with Arjuna, the Pandavas, Yudhishthir and so on, growing up with all of them, although people knew that he's some extraordinary person, but his personal relation with all of them was such that the personal attributes took over his official position. Compare this, that the President of United States of America, he's so personal with you that you start chastising him or you mock him sometimes and you play around with him. And someone has to remind you, oh, he's the President of America. This is not how you behave with him, at least not in public. But Krishna's behavior with each of them was such, so personal, so close, so intimate. And that is the speciality of Krishna avatar compared to many other avatars. Such kind of loving reciprocations and loving relationships are only seen in two avatars amongst the 10 principal avatars. One is Ram and one is Krishna. As far as Lord Ram is concerned, it is very easy to stereotype him to be someone who is very dutiful to the family, dutiful towards the nation, and so on. We do not hear about Ram's mischiefs or Lord Ram doing even one pastime, one leela. Sorry. Okay. We do not hear Lord Ram doing one leela or one pastime which appears to be objectionable. He is always obligated to serve his parents, his wife, his nation, and so on. And he fulfilled those obligations to the best of his capacity in the context of the time period and the laws and the social systems and principles which were there at that time. However, in the case of Krishna, the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he appears as Krishna, it is so difficult to stereotype him. So when you read the childhood pastimes of Krishna, it appears that all he is concerned is only with love and affection and mischief and so on. When you read how Krishna as an infant child killed so many demons, but he was so dependent on his mother Yashoda, how even when he was just a very young boy playing mischief, doing mischief with other cowherd boys, every now and then, almost every day, he was the favorite candidate amongst all his friends to be teased upon. And every now and then, almost every other day, Krishna would come complaining to Mother Yashoda that Balram has misbehaved with me, Sridama has misbehaved with me, Subal and other cowherd boys are misbehaving with me. And then Mother Yashoda has to very carefully show affection towards Krishna, make him stop cry, and then feed him some nice sweets or butter or some nice preparations. And this was a very regular pastime. So it appears when you read those pastimes that Krishna was just one of the ordinary people there. Many critics of Hinduism and the Hindu philosophy have told that Krishna was not actually God, he was just a mystical, powerful person. Many of them, they don't accept him as God. Just for this reason, because the childhood pastimes are filled with such stories, where the personality of Godhead or the aspect of being God is not explicitly shown. Even amongst the devotees of Krishna, those who understand the concept of rasa or mellows, they try to stereotype Krishna in one of the rasa. That what is the favorite rasa which Krishna enjoys? What is the favorite mellow Krishna enjoys? So when you read the childhood pastimes, it appears that Krishna enjoys those pastimes only. In fact, one of our acharyas, he mentions that the experiences Lord Krishna got during his childhood was so overwhelming, and it was always imprinted in his consciousness that even during the battlefield of Kurukshetra, on the first day of war, when each warrior was blowing his conch shell, so Krishna also blew his conch shell, Panchajanya. And you know how you blow the conch shell, you hold it with both your hands and put it on your mouth. So while he did that, his memory slipped, his mind slipped spontaneously to the thought that how when he was an infant and how he was holding the breast of Mother Yashoda and with both of his hands and drinking milk. So that also shows how Krishna is forever grateful, so mindful, so loving, so caring, and so on. Otherwise, who remembers this thing in the middle of the war when you are in a spree of conquest, wanting to once for all set the law and order of the world, to accomplish your very incarnation, which was for dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge, which Krishna says, to accomplish dharma. At that point, he remembers that sweet pastime of he drinking milk from Mother Yashoda. So when devotees also, rather I would say devotees also are divided that which is the rasa which Krishna enjoys most. But now when you move to these pastimes of Bhaumasur or other places, it is mentioned Narakasur, where this demon king had killed so many kings and abducted their daughters and kept them with him, 16,100 precisely. And then Krishna goes and kills this particular demon and rescues them. So during that time, it was a scenario that there was a great taboo attached, that if you have been staying with someone out of marriage, it would be considered very improper. Today, it's a very common thing, and it has become normal for these activities. But in the context of those days, it was very abnormal thing. And in fact, if someone lived with someone for a couple of months, what to speak of even if someone lived for a day or two, what to speak of 9 months or a year or two, it was considered that this person is not fit to be in the general society. Not as a derogatory thing on the person who has been kidnapped or something like that, but because the general order of the society was such that it was these kind of relationships were not encouraged. And therefore, it was always a challenge. The men expected wives who had never been in, men expected women who had never been in relationship with others, and even women expected the same. So that was the order. So the biggest problem which Krishna had to face was these queens say that you have delivered us from one problem, is from this demon. But now suddenly we realize that how can we adjust in the regular society now? Who is going to marry us? Who is going to own us? Who is going to give us a proper respectful space and name and so on? So Krishna, he said, you don't need to worry. I myself will marry you. And it is explained that Krishna married 16,100 wives and also those 8 principal queens. So 16,100 queens were those whom were abducted, and the 8 were Satyabhama, then Jambavati, Rukmini, and so on. So effectively, all the 16,108 queens were not people or not girls whom Krishna was running after. These were the people who approached, these were the queens who approached Krishna to save them or to own them. And Krishna obliged. So rather than thinking that Krishna was a lusty person running after queens, thirsty for power, no, it was not that. If it was that, he could have done it other ways also. So those who analyze Krishna's personality in such a manner that this person who married 16,108 queens and gave a palace to each one of them, that literally means 16,108 palaces. And additionally, no woman would be happy if she does not have a child, because that gives a primary sense of worth of being a woman. At least it was during those times. Even today, generally, we do see, by and large, that women do seek to have a child. So Krishna provided each queen with 10 children. So literally that would be 160,000 and as many 80 queens, 80 sons. So these many sons Krishna provided. So those who analyze Krishna from a social perspective, they can analyze him, they can see him as also a social reformer. Like today, there are so many NGOs which try to save women from forced prostitution or orphanages where they grow up and there is no one to marry, and they try to help them in some way. So here Krishna himself only got married, himself provided everything and so on. So from that perspective, one could argue, in fact, many also say that Krishna, the best aspect which Krishna, the best quality which describes Krishna is he being a social reformer, because he helped stabilize the society. Then there are also people who say the most impactful pastimes of Krishna were those where he orchestrated the battlefield of Mahabharata. And for almost 30 years, he led to circumstances, he created circumstances that led to war. And then finally, it happened such that about 1 billion people were killed. According to the Mahabharata, it explains 1,660,000,000 and so on. So we can say 1.6 million approximately were killed. And how many survived? Only 240,165 people survived the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And that too in just 18 days. Look at the scale of war. In the modern estimates of all the wars put together of modern recorded history, the number is roughly approximately 490 million, putting the war since 1500 years. So compare 490 million to 1.6 billion, and this 490 million were killed over 1,000 years. And 1.6 billion people killed only in 18 days. So that's 4 times in an infinitesimally lesser span. And then there was a change of a world order. Today, there is a talks, you keep hearing the new world order and this and that. So Krishna, essentially the world order happens when every avatar comes. So those who see him from that perspective, they try to stereotype that the best quality or aspect, or if you have to define Krishna, then you can define him as either a statesman or also an exterminator. You require real skills to execute such levels of wars and to exterminate people. So those who hate Krishna, they say he's an exterminator. Those who love Krishna, they say he's a lover. Those who see him as a social reformer because of reading these kind of pastimes, they see him as a social reformer, and so on. When we talk about his aspects of loving gopis also, our scriptures explain a very conservative figure of Krishna's gopis, which is 1 billion. Now 1 billion is conservative because the acharyas say that it is far more than that, but this is an estimate. And Krishna succeeded not only to just have, not only quantitatively that he had so many girlfriends or lovers, but even qualitatively that he satisfied, he fulfilled that aspect of love or being a lover. So although today some may be having this attitude of keeping multiple partners and lovers and so on, they hide from each other and all that, but still, you may try to quantitatively even come close. First of all, you cannot be quantitatively close to 1 billion. But even if someone comes quantitatively close, you can never be qualitatively close. It is just impossible. So when you see all the pastimes from that aspect, so now I would like to question all of you. How do you see Krishna as a lover or a great friend or an exterminator or a social reformer? So when you thoroughly read Krishna's pastime and try to analyze each aspect deeply, you understand that it is easier to stereotype Narsinghdev as a protector, Varaha as one who rescued the earth, Vaman as someone, you can just define that avatar in 1 or 2 lines, but when it comes to Krishna, it is impossible to categorize in one particular thing. And why? Because every aspect of life, Krishna lives to the fullest extent. And therefore, whoever comes in contact with Krishna, he experienced that aspect. Like as a son, he lived fullest. So Yashoda can only see him like. As a lover, he lived so intensely that they could never see him any more than a lover. As a statesman, he lived in such a manner that no one could see him any more than as a statesman, and so on. So when you compare these kind of things, even with Lord Ram, no, even his mother would see him as a great administrator. Even wife saw him as a great administrator. Now, this doesn't happen with Krishna. The gopis don't see him otherwise. They only see him that way because he was so intense in the aspect of the leelas or pastimes which he was performing. So therefore, in every leela, whoever comes in contact with whichever aspect of Krishna, they feel eternally grateful and overwhelmed because of those things. Like, it's not here that the queens who met Draupadi, they are not talking that, oh, Krishna rescued us and they are thankful. It's not like that. They don't see him anything more than, they just see him that he is not just one who rescued, but he also gave us everything after that. And therefore, naturally, they naturally seek nothing else. Being a queen, the next desire should be that, okay, now I want to be the queen and one single queen who wants to lord over the resources and so on. That's not their desire. All their desire is just, no longer they want to be Brahma or they want any dominion over the earth or not being a king of something what king of heaven enjoys. All they want is the touch of the dust of his lotus feet. Why? Because Krishna has 100% fully influenced their hearts so beautifully. So I'd like to stop here. Any questions or comments? We have about 10 minutes. Thank you. Hare Krishna. You want to-
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. It's a sweet class. Yeah, it's amazing how Krishna reciprocates with each person. And the spectrum of qualities of relationships are fantastic. We remember Prabhupada tells us when Krishna entered the wrestling arena, Mother Jasoda saw him as her child, the gopis saw him as the boy next door, and the yogis saw him as the absolute truth, and Kamsa saw him as death, because there's nothing but Krishna. Nothing but Krishna to see. They may not see him as Krishna, but he has a way of, what does St. Paul say? I am all things to all people, so that by some means someone may come to Christ. So Krishna has his variegated ways of attracting us and relating to us, and people are satisfied. It's pretty amazing here. These girls are so satisfied with Krishna that they'll take even the slightest and most humble and insignificant way of relating to him, taking some dust, putting it on their head, and they'll be satisfied. We had one experience doing Harinam in Philadelphia one time. This man came. He was standing, we were waiting to cross the street because the traffic light was there. And I said, Hare Krishna. And he went, bah! Just like subverbal, not even a verbal response, just a growl. I said, Hare Krishna. So we went across the street and we're walking down doing Harinam, and he couldn't get past us on the sidewalk. There were 5 of us. One of the devotees said, oh, your friend is still with you, you know. So just then he grabbed my kurta in the back. And I couldn't walk. And everybody kept going. I said, sir, what's the problem? He goes, I'm an atheist. Saliva spitting out when he was screaming like that. He was a very nicely dressed gentleman with a 3-piece suit and a lady with him. So what do you say? We're not supposed to preach the intimate glories of the holy name to a faithless person. I said, okay, good. No, he said, you're supposed to preach to me. You're supposed to tell me I'm a demon. You're supposed to tell me I'm stupid. I'm an illusion. I'm going to hell. You know what's good and I'm bad, right? You're going to tell me that? Apparently he'd met devotees before, you know. I was like, Krishna, what do you say to this man? He's holding my shirt. I can't go anyplace. I said, so Krishna gave me a little unusual way to relate to him. I said, sir, for you, what would be the highest quality of consciousness a person could have? And then his demeanor changed and he softened and he said, oh, you're inquiring from me submissively. I will explain this to you. He said, so the highest consciousness would be, and then he held his thumb like this and he started telling me about a Rambo movie. I was like, oh my gosh. Boom, 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 blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh, Krishna, save me, please. What is he talking about? I asked him what the highest consciousness, and he's talking about Rambo. But then I prayed to Krishna what to say. I said, oh, I think I understand you. You're saying that Rambo, if death came, he would just accept it. He wasn't hiding from death. He was just thinking that that's the absolute truth. He said, that's it. I said, well, that's good. He said, what do you mean that's good? I said, well, that's it says Mrityu Savarasham. You know, for Kamsa, he saw Krishna in the arena as death, right? So I said, that's a genuine aspect of the absolute truth. He was like, aspect? What is this aspect? I said, well, you know, if you look at a diamond, it says that one facet looks golden, one looks silver, one looks green, one looks white, one looks, you know, blue, you know, different aspects of the absolute truth, seeing from different angles, you get a different. Said, so you're saying this is a genuine, you're not telling me I'm wrong. You're telling me this is an aspect. I said, yes, you're actually seeing it, the absolute truth. Because he's thinking death. A person who just accepts death is and bows down to death willingly. I said, so that's good. He said, you mean there's other aspects? I said, yes, we have aspects of the absolute truth that we appreciate. He goes, well, what is that aspect? I said, you have your aspect, we have our aspect. My friends are all the way down the block. Let me go, I have to go. He goes, no. I want to know about that other aspect. I said, well, right across the street on the second floor, we have a little preaching center. You come there, I give you a book. You can read about Eastern aspects. So he came up there, they took prasadam, him and his girlfriend. We talked for about half an hour, took a Bhagavad Gita, gave a $20 donation, gave me a big hug, and he went out happy. I'm like, oh, Krishna, how did you do that? You know. So even no matter who they are, no matter how they're seeing, they're actually seeing Krishna. They may not see Krishna as Krishna, but there are aspects of Krishna for everyone, even for the demon. Rich is talking about, for the demon, I am death. Oh, death. They see that, you see the Hell's Angels, they have all these skulls on their motorcycles and everything. They see death as, an aspect of the absolute truth that they appreciate. So, I don't know, Krishna is so wonderful. Maybe I'm talking too long. But where's the Srila Prabhupada?
Hare Krishna.
Jagannath Priya Prabhu. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, wonderful class. Thank you. So, what was your aspect of Krishna that was appealing to you when you were when you first joined the movement?
So personally, I have been deeply inclined to philosophy and searching the truth in that manner. So when I first took the Bhagavad Gita, it was in a very offensive manner. I literally took the Bhagavad Gita in my hand, and one of my friends said, "Why are you wasting your time with this?" I said, I have experimented so many things in life. Let me just try this. If it works, fine. Otherwise, I'll throw it in the dustbin. So it was just the aspect of knowledge. But when I first went to the temple, I got attracted to the picture of Mother Yashoda holding Krishna, which we have here in the temple hall. Baby Krishna. And that was the first photograph. I don't know why I just bought that. And the second photo I bought was Krishna and Radha on a swing. So I guess, again, as I said, it's so difficult to stereotype like what I got attracted, but mainly it's philosophy and childhood pastimes.
So there's no Rambo anywhere in the picture there. You started off with philosophy and Leela. That's pretty good start. You must have done something in the previous life that you didn't have to go through Rambo and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
dear
before,
devotees, the floor is yours. Now it's time to testify, to maybe share something, ask a question. Please go ahead.
I had a question from the verses. It's like so beautiful and quite esoteric, that so these wives of Krishna, they knew that Krishna had Radharani and the gopis. I mean, is this the place where Radharani is mentioned in the Bhagavatam?
Radharani is not mentioned anywhere in the Bhagavatam. But see, Krishna had his childhood pastimes, or let's say loving reciprocations with the gopis till 8 years of age. And after which, once he left Vrindavan, he never came back his entire life. So technically, it was just a couple of days before the battlefield of Kurukshetra that the gopis and even his mother Yashoda and all, they met Krishna. So literally, it was approximately Krishna was about 35, around 80, more than 85 years of age. So let's say he met them after almost 80 years. So it's not that Krishna was actively, formally involved with Radharani and the gopis after 8 years of age. They literally met 80 years of age and he was already by the time married to the queens in Dwarka and so on. So the queens of Dwarka knew that Krishna had loving relationships with several gopis. They knew about the intensity of the love and affection, but it was not that Krishna had owned any one of them or formally involved in a relationship in a manner that they are married and so on. So that way, there was no conflict of interest or neither the consideration that Krishna had loved someone else earlier and so on. It is only later, after he successfully established all these queens and each one of had 10 sons and they got settled in life. It was at that time in one of the conversations with Rohini, they said that if Krishna loves us so much and takes care of so much, then what is special about the love of the gopis, which you keep talking that when he was young, he had a very special affection. So the aspect of gopis is referred something in the past sense by the queens. So it doesn't really matter. Let's say you get married to a person and like the queens got married to Krishna at a later stage in life. And then they are reflecting, oh, in your childhood, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, you had some affection with your neighborhood girls in your little town or village. So it's not a matter of conflict or anything. It's just that every now and then there was this talk that Krishna loved the gopis more than anyone else. And when Krishna reciprocated with any person, with any little affection, there would always be someone who would tell, but this affection is nothing, the way he loved the gopis. And that's how the discussion comes about. And that's how the queens want to know. But essentially, they never met. They just met a couple of days before the Kurukshetra war, and the gopis criticized Krishna in a loving manner that these weapons don't look good on you. You were beautiful more with the peacock feather, and instead of this sounds of swords and horses and elephants around you, the sounds of parrots and cows and monkeys was much more better. So aesthetically, you're in the wrong place. Please come back. So Krishna told the gopis, I just have one task to do and very soon I'll come back. And this was the exact thing he had told them when he left Mathura. So gopis understood that Krishna is never coming back again. So that's the only talk. I hope it helps.
Jagannath Priya, ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Jagannath Priya Prabhu. Wonderful class. Darshan time, dear devotees. Turn on your cameras. Put on your best look. Thank you. Even Bhima Prabhu has his best look today. Doesn't look scary today. The background is blurred on this phone. We might not be able to see. But Krishna will see us. Krishna will see Venu Madhuri in her cool hat. It's our material desires preventing us from seeing clearly. It's not Krishna's fault or Jagannath Priya's.
I'm just trying once again. How to remove the spotlight? I think it's the spotlight.
Jai, thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Afterglow. One good thing about Krishna is that there's enough Krishna for everyone. If Krishna is in Jamuna Jaya's heart, then that does not mean that he can't be in my heart. Right, Jamuna Jaya? She's sharing Krishna with everyone she deals with. And Krishna doesn't become less. Even more, I would say. Yeah, when you get Krishna from Jamuna Jaya, you're getting more. Okay. Would anyone like to reflect? To ask a question, maybe? Wonderful class. We can see how Jagannath Priya is happy discussing Krishna Lila. He never deviated from his initial taste in bhakti. He still relished in Mother Yashoda and Krishna philosophy. Nice. Okay. Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, would you like to contribute to the yagya?
Hare Krishna. It was a very nice class, and as he mentioned, Krishna is very. We can't understand Krishna. Adhokshaja, right? Adhokshaja is not here right now, but Krishna can't be understood by our blunt material senses. We need the eyes anointed with the salve of love, Premanjana Churita, Bhakti Vilochanena, to understand Krishna. So, yeah, it's very interesting, and we can't imitate Krishna also. In Pune temple, there is a garden next to the temple room, and that garden has a Kalia on it, and it's a very nice garden, that very little small garden. So once one this one girl and boy, they were just sitting there and trying to engage in conjugal delights in that little garden next to the temple. And one brahmachari happened to see them, and then he asked them, "Hey, why are you doing this? This is a temple. This is this is a temple." And then this guy says that, "Oh, this is a Krishna temple, right? So Krishna danced with so many gopis. What is the problem if I do this with one girl?" And then this brahmachari told him that, yes, Krishna did it with so many gopis, but Krishna also lifted the Govardhan hill with his one finger. Can you do that? So like that yeah. So yeah, it's very nice. All we can do, I guess, is so the thing is, one aspect of the unlimited. So Krishna is unlimited. We can't understand Krishna by our own effort. But then the one aspect of the unlimitedness of Krishna is that he can mercifully manifest himself to the limited, like ourselves. So all we can do at the end of the day is pray to Krishna that we can serve him nicely, and so that we can at least take some aspect of his and completely take that to our heart and serve him. So I'm yet to be there and yet to reach there, but with all of your association, hopefully I will get there one day. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Yeah, all we need to do is to stand before the Lord. Bhima Prabhu, we see Kubja engaged in service. Bhima Prabhu initiated his tractor. This is the extent of his devotion.
See the threefold bending form? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I'm loading it up. I don't know anything about Krishna's pastime with the gopis. All I know is that what's on earth has to be coming from somewhere. And so these little illusory drops of pleasure have to have a reservoir. Otherwise, where are they coming from? And therefore, we understand that things such as the intimacy between the gopis and Krishna and the queens, and it's just all such a wonderful reservoir of reflection for us to be reminded at all times that we are allowed to have any type of relationship that we, of course, are constitutionally positioned as, but we will have that. We will have, and we can have, even in short bursts of remembrance, these types of relationship with someone who already is so intimate to us that he knows all our thoughts and he knows what decisions we're going to be making into the future, and he's carefully and affectionately guiding us at all times in our lives, just like he guides as a diplomat war, and he guides as a dutiful, wonderful householder, the queens of Dwarka, as he guides in the romantic full moon pastimes down by the Jamuna River with the gopis. That's all for us. All we have to do is open our hearts. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Okay, so we're going to ask Joshua and Oliver to say Hare Krishna to complete our offering for today. Joshua?
Hare Krishna.
That was so sweet. Hare Krishna.